The sky over Zithra was not like any other sky in the galaxy. It shimmered with soft hues of violet and blue, and the crystal oceans below reflected every color, creating a world that seemed alive. The Liari people, graceful and tall with shimmering skin, floated above these oceans in cities held by energy fields. Their lives were peaceful, full of music, light, and learning. Yet, on this day, the calm beauty was broken. A strange tremor ran through the ground and the air above the cities. The crystal towers shook slightly, and a distant roar echoed across the planet. Lyra, the princess of Zithra, felt it before anyone else. She was in her private chamber holding her young child Kyle close to her chest. "Kyle, stay close," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "Everything will be all right." Kyle, only 4 cycles old, looked up at his mother with wide, curious eyes. He could feel her fear, though he did not fully understand it. Lyra clutched his small hand tightly, refusing to let go. Outside, the storm had begun. It was unlike anything the Liari had seen before. A massive energy storm, swirling with dangerous electric blue light, moved across the sky. The elders of the city watched in horror as it approached. If it touched the cities, the delicate energy fields could collapse, sending towers and people into the oceans below. Lyra paced her chamber, thinking frantically. "We need help," she said softly, almost to herself. But who could help them? Zithra had never faced anything like this. From the skies, a faint glint caught Lyra's eye. At first, she thought it was part of the storm. But it moved differently. It was a starship, sleek and silver, cutting through the chaos with precision. Lyra's heart leapt. She had heard stories of humans from distant planets. They were brave, clever, and sometimes unpredictable. But most of all, they were curious. And curiosity could be a great strength. The starship landed gently near the city's outer edge, its landing thrusters creating small waves in the crystal waters. The Liari guards approached cautiously, weapons ready but unsure. From the ship stepped a human man, tall, wearing a simple uniform that marked him as a scientist and pilot. His hair was dark and his eyes were full of determination. Lyra stepped forward, holding Kale close. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm. "I am Ethan," the human said calmly. "We detected the energy storm from space. We came to help," the elders whispered among themselves. Some felt uneasy. Humans were unpredictable. Could they be trusted? Lyra, however, felt something different. She saw determination, courage, and calmness in Ethan's eyes. Somehow she knew they might be Zithra's only hope. Kale, curious as ever, reached out his small hand. Ethan knelt down and gently shook it. "Hello, Kale," he said. "We'll make sure you're safe." The storm grew stronger and the first bolts of blue lightning struck near the floating towers. Energy fields flickered. People screamed as small pieces of crystal debris floated through the air. Lyra's voice shook as she spoke to Ethan. "Please, can you help us?" Ethan nodded without hesitation. "We can, but I will need your help too. Your people know this planet better than anyone. Together we can stop the storm." Lyra glanced at Kale. His small hands clutched hers tightly, as if he understood the danger. "We will do whatever it takes," she said. The human team immediately began assessing the situation. Ethan pulled out a small device that projected a holographic map of Zithra. Lines of energy traced the storm's movement, showing how it spread across the planet's core. "This storm is not natural," Ethan said, frowning. "It comes from the planet itself. Something deep inside Zithra is unstable. We need to find a way to stabilize it before it destroys everything." The elders gasped. "Stabilize it?" one whispered. "Can that even be done?" Ethan's eyes met Lyra's. "It can, but it will not be easy. We'll need access to your energy systems and your knowledge of the planet. Your people's abilities combined with human technology might just be enough." Lyra's heart pounded. She had never imagined working alongside humans, yet here she was, and for her child's safety she had no choice. "Then we begin immediately," Lyra said, her voice firm. She turned to the elders. "Trust them. For Kale. For our people." The Liari slowly agreed, though some remained skeptical. Time was short. The storm was growing faster than anyone had predicted. Ethan and his team moved quickly. They inspected the energy fields of the floating cities, taking careful readings. Kale watched intently, fascinated by the humans' strange tools. Lyra held him close, feeling the tension between fear and hope. "Mom, why is the sky angry?" Kyle asked softly, his small hand squeezing hers. It's not angry, little one, Lyra said gently. It is sick, and we need to help it heal. Cale nodded as much as a young child could understand. He reached out toward the storm, his small fingers brushing against a ripple of energy that danced in the air. Lyra gasped and pulled him back. Careful, Kyle. That is dangerous. Ethan noticed the child's fascination. He seems brave, he said to Lyra, and smart. Sometimes the smallest ones see things we adults miss. Lyra smiled, a faint warmth in the chaos. Yes, Cale is curious. He wants to understand everything. Perhaps he will help us too. As the humans worked, the storm's fury increased. Blue lightning crackled across the crystal oceans, striking the floating towers with precise and terrifying force. The Lyari citizens screamed and scattered, seeking shelter wherever they could. Lyra held Cale tightly and whispered again, almost as if the words could make a difference. Please don't leave us, she murmured. Her voice carried over the roaring storm. Ethan heard her words, though he could not understand them fully. Yet he felt their meaning. We won't, he said aloud. I promise. I will stay until everyone is safe. The first step of the plan was to protect the cities from immediate collapse. Ethan instructed the humans to deploy small energy stabilizers, devices that could reinforce the Lyari energy fields. Lyra guided them, pointing out where the fields were weakest. Cale watched eagerly, holding onto his mother's hand. Look, Mom, he exclaimed. They are making the light stronger. Lyra smiled through her worry. She saw hope in the smallest moments, in her child's excitement and in the humans' determination. For the first time since the storm began, she felt a flicker of confidence. Perhaps together they could survive. Hours passed like minutes as the humans and Lyari worked side by side. The storm raged around them, yet little by little the stabilizers began to hold. Sparks of blue lightning struck the city walls but bounced harmlessly off the reinforced fields. Ethan paused for a moment, wiping sweat from his brow. This is only the beginning, he said. The storm's energy comes from deep inside the planet. We need to reach the core to stop it completely. Lyra nodded, understanding the challenge ahead. She held Kyle close and whispered, We will be brave. We must be brave. Kyle clutched her hand, his tiny fingers tight around hers. I am brave, Mom, he said. Yes, my little one, she said softly, tears in her eyes. We will all be brave together. And as the storm raged, a strange feeling filled the air. A mixture of fear, hope, and the quiet promise that humans and Lyari, together, might just save their world. The first night of the storm fell over Zithera, and in the glow of the stabilizers, Lyra watched her child sleep peacefully, trusting that the humans' courage would carry them through the night. Somewhere in the heart of the storm, the planet's energy pulsed violently. Somewhere else, humans and aliens prepared for the impossible, and the princess whispered once more, holding her child tightly, Please don't leave us. The sun rose slowly over Zithera, casting long rays of violet and gold across the floating cities. Despite the beauty, the storm had not yet passed. Its energy still pulsed deep within the planet, sending tremors and flickers of blue lightning across the crystal oceans. Princess Lyra did not sleep well that night. Kyle, exhausted from the day's chaos, rested in her arms, his small breathing steady and calm. She watched him and wondered how such a tiny being could carry so much courage. Humans were strange creatures, she thought. They were strong, clever, and willing to risk everything to help strangers. And now one of them, Ethan, had promised to stay and protect them. Ethan was already awake, moving quietly among the stabilizers placed around the city. He observed the energy fields, noting where they were holding and where they flickered. His human team moved with efficiency and care, each member knowing what needed to be done. Yet despite their skills, he knew the real challenge had not yet begun. Lyra approached him, her robe flowing softly around her. The storm grows stronger, she said quietly. If it reaches the cities again, even the stabilizers will not hold. Ethan looked up and nodded. I know, that's why we need to understand it first. There is something inside Zithera's core causing this, something the planet itself is trying to balance but cannot. Lyra's eyes widened. The core? No one can approach it safely. Humans had a different kind of courage than the Lyari. They did not fear unknown dangers the same way, and sometimes their solutions were born from instinct rather than tradition. Ethan smiled faintly. Then we will go together, he said. We will not face it alone. And you, Princess, will guide us. Your people know this world better than anyone. Kyle stirred and rubbed his eyes. "Mom, can I help?" he asked sleepily. Lyra laughed softly, brushing his hair back. "Little one, it is too dangerous for you, but perhaps your mind can help us in ways we do not yet understand." Ethan's eyes lit up. Children see things adults sometimes miss. Maybe he can help us understand how the planet moves, how the energy flows. Kyle's eyes sparkled with excitement. He jumped down and ran to the edge of the stabilizer field, looking at the blue lightning that danced in the air. "I think it's like a river," he said. "It moves, it turns, it flows everywhere." Lyra and Ethan exchanged glances. The boy's perspective, so simple and innocent, might indeed reveal patterns no adult could see. "Show me," Ethan said gently. "Can you point where it flows strongest?" Kyle stretched out his small hands, tracing the currents of energy in the air. His fingers hovered above the invisible streams, and Lyra could see faint blue sparks responding to his touch. The humans and Layari watched in amazement. "Remarkable," Lyra whispered. "Even the smallest ones can understand the language of the planet." Ethan knelt beside Kale. "You're helping more than you know," he said. "Stay close, and we will make sure your home is safe." The day passed quickly as humans and Layari worked together. Kale stayed by Ethan's side, pointing out patterns while Lyra guided the stabilizers. Despite the danger, a bond of trust and friendship was forming. Lyra began to see the humans not just as strangers, but as allies, partners in a fight they could not win alone. During the afternoon, the storm sent a bolt of energy dangerously close to one of the outer towers. Citizens screamed, running for shelter. The energy field flickered and seemed ready to collapse. Kale gasped and froze in fear, clutching his mother's hand. Ethan reacted instantly. He ran toward the tower, adjusting one of the stabilizers with careful precision. Sparks flew and the field hummed with energy. Within moments, the danger passed. Lyra's voice shook as she whispered, "You saved him. You saved all of us." Ethan smiled faintly, brushing dust from his shoulder. "We saved each other," he said. "Humans, Layari. Together we are stronger." Kale's small hands unclenched, and he looked up at Ethan with admiration. "You're brave," he said simply. Lyra felt a warm surge in her chest. Even in the middle of chaos, humans showed courage, patience, and a kind of creativity the Layari rarely used. She realized that Kale, too, could learn from them. Perhaps her child's future would be brighter because of this strange, daring species. As evening fell, Lyra invited Ethan and his team to her chamber. The Layari needed to share knowledge about the planet's energy systems, and Ethan needed to prepare the next stage of their plan. Inside the chamber, holographic maps floated above a crystal table. Lyra pointed to glowing lines representing energy streams running through the planet. "The storm originates here," she explained. "Deep beneath the core, a fault in the energy flows creates instability. It is as if the planet's heart beats too fast, too unevenly." Ethan studied the map carefully. "If we can regulate the energy here, we can stop the storm from forming again. But it will be dangerous. We must go to the core itself." Lyra nodded. "I will go, but only if Kale is safe. You must promise me that, human." "I promise," Ethan said firmly. "We will protect him." Kale, sitting nearby, looked at Ethan with wide eyes. "I want to come," he said stubbornly. Lyra chuckled softly, brushing his hair. "Little one, your place is with me. You must watch, learn, and be brave. That is how heroes are made." Kale pouted slightly but nodded. "I will be brave," he promised. That night, Lyra walked to the balcony of her chamber, holding Kale close. The storm still raged far away, but the stabilizers had kept the immediate danger from the cities. She looked at the horizon, thinking of humans and their strange courage. "They do not fear like we do," she whispered to Kyle. "They do not let danger stop them. Perhaps we can learn from them." Kale yawned and snuggled against her chest. "I want to learn too," he murmured. Lyra smiled, pressing a gentle kiss to his hair. "And you will, little one. We all will." Back in the outer city, Ethan and his team prepared for the next day's journey. They needed to gather more data on the storm's origin and figure out a way to reach the core safely. "Your people have remarkable energy," Ethan said to Lyra quietly. "With it, and with the way Kale senses the flows, I think we can succeed," Lyra nodded. "Then we will. We cannot fail. For Kale, for Zithara." The night passed slowly. The storm's pulse echoed faintly through the planet, a reminder of the danger that still waited. Yet in the quiet moments, humans and Layari shared stories, laughter, and hope. Kyle even tried to teach a human how to trace the energy flows with his tiny hands, causing Ethan to laugh softly. It was in these small moments, the trust, the curiosity, the courage, that Lyra began to see the future differently. Humans were not just visitors from another world. They were partners, teachers, and perhaps even friends. As dawn approached, a soft glow lit the horizon. The storm had not ended, but the stabilizers held. And Lyra, holding Kale tightly, whispered one more time, her voice full of hope and quiet determination. "Together we will survive. Together we will save our world." Kyle squeezed her hand. "Together," he repeated. And somewhere in the growing light of morning, humans in Liari prepared for the next challenge, bound by trust, courage, and the unspoken promise that even the smallest and youngest could make a difference. The bond had been formed, and nothing, not even a storm born from the heart of Zithara, could break it. The next morning, Zithara awoke to a sky that glowed with soft violet light. The storm still pulsed deep within the planet, but the stabilizers held the city safe for now. Humans and Liari gathered in Lyra's chamber, ready to devise a plan. The tension in the air was thick, yet determination shone on every face. Ethan stood before the holographic map, projecting the energy streams that flowed like glowing rivers beneath Zithara. "The core is unstable," he said firmly. "To stop the storm, we must regulate the energy at its source. That means going into the heart of the planet." Lyra's eyes widened. "The heart? No one has ever entered the core. It is dangerous even for the strongest Liari." Ethan nodded. "I know. But humans are used to facing the unknown. And we have a plan that combines your energy and our technology." Lyra glanced at Kale, who was watching closely, his small hands resting on the edge of the crystal table. "Kyle, you will stay here," she said softly. "You are too young to go, but your insight will guide us." Kale frowned slightly. "I want to help," he protested, his little voice firm. "You are helping already," Lyra replied gently. "Your understanding of the flows is what makes this plan possible." Ethan crouched down to Kale's level. "You're very brave, Kale. Your eyes see things we adults often miss. Stay close to your mother and we'll need your guidance." Kyle nodded, satisfied for the moment, though his small curiosity could not be contained. The plan was risky. The humans had developed portable energy stabilizers, small devices designed to reinforce the planet's core energy streams temporarily. Lyra would channel her royal energy into them, amplifying their effect. Together, the devices could regulate the storm and restore balance. Ethan explained each step carefully. "We will place the stabilizers along the main energy flows. Lyra, your energy will power them. The rest of us will monitor and adjust the devices. Timing will be crucial. If even one stabilizer fails, the storm could spread uncontrollably." Lyra felt a chill. The weight of responsibility pressed on her shoulders. "If we fail," she began, but Ethan interrupted gently. "We will not fail," he said firmly. "We have humans and Liari working together, and we have Kale's insight. Together we are stronger than the storm." The first task was to reach the outer core, a glowing region beneath the deepest crystal oceans. Humans and Liari worked side by side, constructing energy platforms to descend safely. The platforms were strong, but even they trembled under the planet's energy pulses. Kyle insisted on accompanying them in spirit, holding a small device that projected his understanding of the energy flows. From his position near the chamber window, he pointed and shouted directions, guiding Lyra and Ethan through the safest paths. The descent was tense. Lightning flashes from the storm's residual energy lit the dark caverns below the oceans. The hum of the stabilizers echoed through the crystal tunnels. Lyra's hand never left Kyle's, even as the child remained safely above. She whispered softly, "We are doing this for you, little one. Be brave, as you always are." Ethan and his human team adjusted the first stabilizer at the edge of the outer core. Energy sparks flew, and for a moment the device faltered. But Lyra focused her energy, pouring warmth, hope, and determination into the stabilizer. It hummed steadily, reinforcing the energy flow. "Good," Ethan said quietly. "One down. 6 more to go." The team moved quickly, guided by Kale's observations. The child had an unusual ability to sense the currents of energy, pointing out dangerous surges and weak flows. His intuition was remarkable even for a human-trained mind. As they placed the second and third stabilizers, the storm reacted. Tendrils of energy twisted and surged, testing the devices. Sparks flew and the cavern shook violently. Lyra's hands glowed as she poured energy into the stabilizers. Ethan adjusted the devices, sweat dripping from his brow. Cale watched, whispering directions. Not there. Move it a little left. The flow is stronger that way. His small voice, filled with confidence, guided the adults. One of the stabilizers began to flicker dangerously. The team froze. If it failed, the energy spike could reach the cities above. Ethan looked at Lyra. We need more power, he said urgently. Lyra hesitated for only a moment. She extended her energy fully into the device, feeling the strain in her body. Sparks of blue energy danced around her, yet she held steady. The stabilizer hummed to life, steady and strong. Cale clapped his small hands in delight. You did it, he cheered. Ethan smiled, placing a reassuring hand on Lyra's shoulder. We are all doing it together. By midday, 4 stabilizers were in place. The storm had not subsided entirely, but its energy had weakened. The cities above were safer than before. Citizens watched from their windows, whispers of hope spreading like wildfire. Humans and Liari worked together side by side, demonstrating bravery, creativity, and trust. Lyra looked down at Cale and whispered, You are helping us, little one. Your eyes, your courage, they guide us more than you know. Cale smiled shyly, hugging a small crystal that reflected the purple light around him. I want to help more, he said. Ethan knelt beside him. You are helping more than you think. Every suggestion, every observation, it matters. You are part of this mission, Cale. As the team prepared for the final 3 stabilizers, the core pulsed violently. Energy swirled around them, as if the planet itself were testing their courage. The cavern walls shook and crystals fell from above. This is it, Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. We must place the last devices perfectly. Any mistake now, and the storm will return stronger. Ethan nodded. We are ready. Follow Cale's guidance and we will succeed. The final stabilizers were placed along the core's deepest channels. Lyra focused her energy, feeling it flow through her body into the devices. Sparks of light shot into the air, creating a brilliant glow that lit the cavern. Ethan and his team monitored carefully, adjusting each device with precision. The storm responded, twisting and writhing, testing the stabilizers. For a moment, it seemed as if they might fail, but Cale's small voice guided them. Left, no, a little higher. There, yes, perfect. Lyra poured every ounce of her strength into the devices. Her body trembled, but she did not falter. Ethan worked beside her, steady hands adjusting the stabilizers, sweat dripping from his forehead. Finally, the energy pulse of the storm slowed. The blue lightning that had racked the cavern diminished. The stabilizers hummed steadily, glowing with a soft, warm light. We did it, Ethan said quietly, looking around at the exhausted but triumphant group. Lyra sank to her knees, clutching Cale's small hand in her own. We did it. Thanks to all of you. And to him, she whispered, looking at her child. Kyle, you guided us. You were brave, and your mind saw what we could not. Kyle beamed, hugging her tightly. I was brave like you said, he exclaimed. Ethan smiled, looking at the princess and her child. Humans, Liari, and even the smallest ones. Together we made the impossible happen. Lyra nodded, feeling a warmth she had never felt before. Humans were strange, yes, and unpredictable. But their courage, creativity, and empathy had made a difference. She looked at Cale, who was holding her hand tightly, and whispered once more, Please don't leave us, not just for the humans, but for the hope they had brought. As they ascended back to the cities, the stabilizers' glow lit the crystal oceans. The storm's fury had lessened significantly. Citizens cheered from their windows, watching as humans and Liari returned victorious. For the first time in many cycles, Zithra felt hope. A young human pilot, his team, a brave princess, and a small child had worked together to save a world. And in that moment, Lyra realized something important. Sometimes it was not strength alone that saved a planet. It was courage, trust, and the willingness to work together. Qualities humans had in abundance. Cale, still holding his mother's hand, whispered softly, Will they stay? Lyra smiled, brushing his hair. For now, yes, and perhaps longer. They are friends now. Friends who will return if ever we need them. Ethan watched from the platform, smiling at the small child. You were amazing, Cale. Never forget that. You are part of this, too. Kyle nodded proudly, his chest puffed out. I helped save my world. Lyra hugged him tightly, tears in her eyes. She felt a deep gratitude toward the humans. They had risked everything, faced the unknown, and taught her people a new kind of courage. As the sun set over Zythera, painting the sky with violet and gold, the princess whispered once more, holding her child close. Together we are stronger. Together we can survive anything. And Kale, smiling against her chest, echoed her words. Together. The sky above Zythera shimmered with soft hues of violet and gold, but the storm's pulse still lingered beneath the planet's surface. The stabilizers had weakened it, but the core itself remained unstable. The next step was the most dangerous, entering the heart of Zythera to restore balance directly. Princess Lyra stood at the edge of the platform, her long robes flowing in the gentle wind. Kale clutched her hand tightly, his small fingers wrapped around hers. "Mom, are you sure we can do this?" he asked, his voice both curious and concerned. Lyra smiled gently. "We can, little one, but we must be careful. Together, humans and Lyari will face this challenge. Together, we will succeed." Ethan, standing nearby, checked the equipment one last time. The humans had prepared special protective suits that could withstand Zythera's unstable energy near the core. "We are ready," he said firmly. The stabilizers held the storm above, but now we must go deeper. The energy anomalies near the core are unpredictable. Stay close and trust each other. Kyle watched, fascinated by the human's courage. He could sense the energy flowing beneath the platform, like glowing rivers moving through the planet. Even from a distance, he could feel the rhythm of the storm's heart. Lyra knelt, brushing his hair back. "Stay here, little one. You will guide us with your eyes, but this place is too dangerous for you." Kyle pouted slightly but nodded. "I will help," he said. "I will watch and tell you what I see." With that, Lyra and the human team descended into the cavern that led to the core. The walls glowed faintly with energy, and the hum of the planet's pulse grew louder with every step. Crystals along the walls flickered with each tremor, reflecting the purple and blue light in brilliant patterns. The deeper they went, the stronger the energy became. Tendrils of raw power twisted through the air, unpredictable and wild. Ethan guided the team carefully, adjusting their path to avoid sudden surges. "Keep your focus," he said. "One wrong step and we could be trapped or struck by a spike of energy." Lyra's hands glowed with her royal energy, stabilizing the path as much as possible. Sparks of light danced around her, illuminating the cavern. "We must be careful," she whispered. "The planet is alive. It tests us." As they approached the inner core, the energy grew more intense. The walls seemed to pulse like a living heart, and the floor vibrated beneath their feet. Lyra's robes shimmered brighter, her energy flowing into the humans' devices to create a protective shield. Suddenly, a surge of blue energy shot from the walls, twisting through the cavern like a living creature. The team froze. Ethan reacted immediately, adjusting a stabilizer to absorb the surge while Lyra poured her energy into it, keeping it steady. Sparks crackled dangerously close, yet the device held. Kyle, watching from above, shouted directions. "Left, no higher!" "There!" His small voice guided the adults, pointing out the safest path through the dangerous currents. The team moved cautiously, placing the stabilizers along the energy flows. Each placement was critical. One mistake could unleash the storm again. The planet's pulse seemed to react to their presence, testing their courage, strength, and focus. At one point, a surge of energy split the cavern, creating a glowing chasm in their path. Ethan looked at Lyra, assessing the situation. "We need to cross carefully. We can use the stabilizers to create a bridge of energy, but it will require precise timing." Lyra nodded. "We can do it together. Focus and trust the flow." Working quickly, they activated the stabilizers in sequence. Lyra's energy flowed through them, creating a shimmering bridge of light over the chasm. Sparks of energy danced around them, but the path held. Step by step they crossed, the planet's pulse echoing beneath their feet. As they reached the final chamber of the core, the energy surged violently. The heart of Zythera glowed with intense blue and violet light, twisting and writhing like a living storm. The humans and Lyari stood together, facing the raw power that had threatened their world. "This is it," Ethan said quietly. "We place the final stabilizers here and we restore balance." Lyra stepped forward, her hands glowing with her full energy. The devices were arranged carefully around the core, ready to absorb and regulate the storm's pulse. But the energy was chaotic, unpredictable, almost alive. It tested their courage and skill at every moment. Kale's voice echoed through the chamber, projected by a small device. "Higher, now left!" That's it. His guidance, so simple and clear, helped the team adjust each stabilizer precisely. The first stabilizer engaged, humming steadily. The second followed, glowing brighter as Lyra's energy poured through it. The storm twisted and surged, resisting their efforts, but the devices held firm. Suddenly, one stabilizer began to flicker dangerously. Sparks flew and the team tensed. Ethan looked at Lyra. "We need more power." Lyra took a deep breath and extended her energy fully, focusing every ounce of strength, hope, and determination into the stabilizer. Sparks shot around her, but the device stabilized, glowing steadily. Kale clapped his hands in delight. "Yes, you did it!" Ethan smiled, adjusting the last stabilizer. "One more to go," he said. "Stay focused." The final stabilizer was placed, and Lyra channeled her energy into it completely. The cavern shook violently as the storm's pulse slowed, twisted, and finally began to calm. The blue and violet light softened, spreading evenly throughout the core. The planet's heart had been regulated. The storm, which had threatened the cities and people, was now stable. Zithra itself seemed to sigh in relief, the walls of the cavern glowing softly with warmth and calm energy. Lyra sank to her knees, exhausted but triumphant. Ethan and his team gathered around her, smiling. "We did it," Ethan said quietly. "Together we saved the planet." Kyle's small voice echoed from the device above. "We did it," he shouted proudly. Lyra held the device close, smiling through her exhaustion. "We did it. Thanks to all of you." And to him, she whispered, looking at Kale. "Little one, your guidance made this possible." "You were brave and wise beyond your years," Kyle beamed, hugging the device. "I helped," he said simply. Ethan looked at the princess and child, feeling a sense of awe. "Humans, Liari, and even the smallest among you. Together we made the impossible happen," he said. Lyra nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, together we are stronger. Courage, trust, and working side by side. That is how we save the world." The team slowly ascended back to the cities, each step careful as the stabilizers continued to regulate the core. Outside, the citizens of Zithra watched in amazement as the glow of the planet spread across the crystal oceans. Humans and Liari returned as heroes, not just for their bravery but for their courage, intelligence, and collaboration. Kale ran to Lyra, holding her hand tightly. "Mom, they stayed." "They didn't leave us," he said happily. Lyra hugged him tightly. "No, little one. They stayed. And together we saved our world." Ethan smiled, watching the mother and child. "You all were amazing. Never forget that. Every step, every decision, every act of bravery. It made a difference." Kale looked up at Ethan. "Will you come back?" he asked softly. Ethan knelt down, placing a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. "Yes, Kale, if ever you need us, we will return. We are friends now, friends who face danger together." Lyra smiled, feeling a warmth she had never experienced before. Humans were strange, yes, and unpredictable, but their courage, creativity, and empathy had saved her world. As the sun set over Zithra, painting the sky with violet and gold, the princess whispered one more time, holding her child close. "Together we are stronger. Together we can face anything," and Kale, resting against her chest, repeated softly, "Together." The storm had ended. The core was stable. The people of Zithra looked to the future with hope, inspired by the bravery and ingenuity of humans who had risked everything to save a distant world. And in that quiet, brilliant moment, Lyra knew that her people had learned something new. Courage was not only about strength. It was about trust, creativity, and the willingness to stand together even with strangers from faraway stars. The skies over Zithra were calm now. The violet and gold sunlight reflected off the crystal oceans, painting the floating cities in gentle light. The storm had ended and the planet's core pulsed steadily, balanced and strong. Citizens moved freely, their faces full of relief and wonder. For the first time in many cycles, hope shone clearly across the world. Princess Lyra stood on the balcony of her palace, holding Kale close. The child clutched her hand, his eyes still wide with excitement from the recent adventure. "Mom, did we really save everything?" he asked softly. Lyra smiled, brushing his hair back. "Yes, little one. Thanks to your courage, the bravery of humans, and the strength of our people, Zithra is safe." Kyle beamed, hugging her tightly. And they stayed. The humans stayed with us. Yes, Lyra said, her voice soft but firm. They are our friends now. Friends who risked everything to help us. Below in the city square, humans and Layari worked together to repair small damages caused by the storm. The humans had shared their tools and techniques with the Layari, and the two species had learned from each other. Buildings glowed brighter after repairs, and the citizens whispered words of admiration for the brave visitors who had come from a distant star. Ethan stood near one of the floating platforms, speaking with Layari engineers. He had spent the past cycles helping ensure the stabilizer's effectiveness, adjusting energy flows and teaching the Layari how to maintain them. His human team moved among the citizens, helping with repairs and explaining how humans had managed to work in harmony with the Layari energy systems. Lyra approached Ethan, her robes shimmering softly in the sunlight. Ethan, you and your people have done more than I could have ever imagined. You risked everything for us. Ethan shook his head with a modest smile. We were guided by your courage, Princess, and by Kale's insight. We could not have done this alone. Humans and Layari, together we made the impossible possible. Lyra's eyes softened. Kale has learned so much, and I have learned that humans are more than travelers from distant stars. They are brave, clever, and compassionate. They are remarkable, Ethan nodded. We try our best. But the truth is, courage is something every species has in different ways. Today your people showed that too. Kale tugged at Lyra's sleeve, his small face serious. Mom, will they leave us now? He asked, a hint of worry in his voice. Lyra crouched to his level, holding his hands gently. For now, they will return to their ship. But they are our friends. If we ever need them, they will come back. And we will always remember what they did for us. Ethan approached, kneeling to meet Kale's gaze. That's right, Kale. We will always be your friends. And if you ever need help, we will return. Kale's eyes lit up and he hugged Ethan tightly. Promise? He whispered. I promise, Ethan said, smiling warmly. The city square was filled with citizens now, gathered to witness the farewell. Layari children waved small crystal banners and adults offered bows of respect and gratitude. The humans stood together, humble yet proud, feeling the warmth of a people they had helped save. Lyra stepped forward, her royal voice carrying over the crowd. Today we celebrate not only the survival of our world, but the courage, wisdom, and friendship that made it possible. Humans came from far across the stars and they taught us the strength of bravery, creativity, and trust. We thank them with all our hearts. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices echoing across the crystal oceans. Ethan and his team bowed respectfully, feeling a deep connection to this alien world and its people. Kale tugged at Lyra's sleeve again. Mom, can we play with them before they leave? He asked shyly. Lyra laughed softly, her eyes sparkling. Yes, little one, you may. For a brief moment, humans and Layari shared laughter and play. Children ran together across the platforms, chasing light reflections from the crystals. Adults shared stories, teaching each other words, games, and songs. The atmosphere was filled with warmth, trust, and a sense of shared triumph. As the sun began to set, the time to depart drew near. Ethan gathered his team and checked the starship. The engines hummed softly, ready to lift off and return to the vastness of space. Lyra approached him one last time, holding Kyle's hand. Ethan, thank you for everything. For your courage, your help, and your friendship. Ethan smiled, placing a gentle hand on hers. It was an honor, Princess. And a privilege to meet you and Kale. We have learned much from your people as well. And one day, we may return. Kale ran forward, hugging Ethan tightly. Don't forget me, he cried. I could never forget you, Kale, Ethan said warmly, hugging him back. You helped save your world and you taught us so much. Lyra hugged her child close, tears in her eyes. Goodbye, Ethan, please. Stay safe. Ethan stepped back toward the ship, waving at the princess and her child. We will, Lyra, and remember, together, humans and Layari can face anything. The starship lifted slowly, leaving a trail of soft light across the skies. Citizens of Zithera watched in awe as the humans disappeared into the horizon, feeling gratitude and admiration in their hearts. Kale held Lyra's hand tightly. Mom, I hope they come back someday, he whispered. Lyra smiled, holding him close. They will, little one. And even if they don't, we know that courage, trust, and friendship are always with us. We have learned that humans have something special, And now, so do we. The city lights began to glow softly in the twilight. The crystal oceans reflected the sky, calm and beautiful once more. Lyra watched the horizon, thinking of the humans who had risked so much to help them. She knew the memory of this day would live forever in the hearts of her people. That night, as the stars twinkled above Zithera, Lyra and Kyle walked through the peaceful streets. Citizens greeted them with smiles and words of thanks. Lyra felt a quiet pride in her child, who had guided them through the storm with curiosity, bravery, and wisdom. Kale looked up at his mother. "Mom, I want to be brave like the humans," he said softly. Lyra knelt, holding his face in her hands. "You already are, Kale. You are brave, curious, and wise, and someday you may teach others just as humans taught us." The princess felt hope, not only for her people but for the future of their world. Humans had shown them that courage and creativity could overcome even the greatest challenges. Zithera had survived stronger and wiser than before. Lyra whispered one final time, holding Kale tightly. "Together, we are stronger. Together we can face anything," and Kale, resting his small head against her chest, echoed softly, "Together." The city rested in peace, and the people of Zithera knew that the memory of this day, of courage, hope, and friendship would live forever. Humans had come from the stars and changed their world, leaving behind lessons of bravery, empathy, and the power of working together. And though the humans had returned to the vastness of space, a bond remained. A bond of trust, courage, and friendship that would never fade. Zithera was safe. Kale had learned bravery, and Lyra had learned that even the smallest gestures of trust and courage could change the fate of a planet. As the moon rose over the crystal oceans, the princess held her child close and whispered once more, "Please don't leave us." Kyle smiled, holding her hand tightly, and whispered back, "Together." The stars above seemed to twinkle brighter that night, as if celebrating the courage of humans and Liari, bound together by hope, trust, and friendship.